Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Asmadgurubhyo namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina
Murte Namaha. Om Shri Veda
Murti Swamine Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarsinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Madhusandhadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्कपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थितदद्गतेन मनसां पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Namaste once again everyone.
Namaste, Guruji. Namaste.
Please mark your attendance.
Mark. Yes.
Hari Om Guruji.
Om Hari Om. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrijan grinnan unmishan nimishan api Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. So we are seeing these two slokas together. And we are discussing here a wise person's way of life, a jnani's way of life, his attitude, his response to the situation that he faces in life after he gains jnanam, and irrespective of whether he is a grihastha jnani or a sannyasa jnani. A jnani is a jnani. And as we discussed in the last class, some jnanis may choose to lead a very secluded life, a contemplative life, not moving out of their place of stay or their ashram. And there are other jnanis, they may prefer to lead a very active life. In fact, a more active life than even a grihastha sometimes. And for the betterment of the society or humankind. A jnani does not have any personal, objective or goal. I should achieve that, I should become this and all that. All that a jnani will do is for the benefit of the society or humankind. And we come across both types of jnanis. We saw a few examples also in the last class. So, their choice of lifestyle is not important. But what is important is their approach to the chosen lifestyle and their response to the various situations based on the knowledge that they have gained as compared to an ajnani. And this is what Krishna points out by saying that a jnani always has this knowledge, aham naiva kinchit karomi. he is consciously aware that he is an akarta, a non-doer, and therefore a abhokta, a non-enjoyer or a non-experiencer. And he is able to abide in this understanding because he has totally come out of deha abhimana. In fact, it is because of our deha abhimana, our total identification with our body, mind, sense complex, that agyanis or ignorant people take themselves to be karta and bhokta, and which is the main driver of all miseries, sorrows, griefs in life, which is the basis on which the shackles of bondage of samsara bind a person. And a jnani, even though he understands that I am akarta, abhokta, he allows the body and sense organs to function in the world according to his designation or status of the ashrama he belongs to. Whether he is a grihastha ashrama jnani or a sannyasa ashrama jnani, whatever ashrama he belongs to, he allows the body and sense organs to function in accordance with the dharma of that ashrama. And as I said, he does not have any personal axe to grind. And all his actions will be determined by the need of the society. He has no need for his own self, other than, of course, the needs, minimum needs, like food, shelter, for his survival. Because he knows that he is a Purna Purusha, complete in all respects. So his only motivation for his action will be love and compassion towards the society, which is crying for help and guidance. Jnanam, the self-knowledge, naturally brings out love and compassion. And that is the difference between a jnani and a jnani. Both of them in their life will have ups and downs. There will be good periods, there will be difficult periods. For a jnani also, there will be difficult period. It is not just because he has become a jnani, everything is going to be hunky-dory. No. But what is the difference? Ajnani is shocked. And sometimes he even has a heart attack also. Was not directly related, but Swami Parmathananda, he narrates a nice story about this getting shocked and heart attack. Maybe some of you might have heard this story who have listened to his talks. Once a heart patient was undergoing treatment, and the doctor had advised his relatives that they should be very careful and not give him any shocking or surprising news without preparing him in advance. Because if you give him some shocking news without preparing him, there may be a heart attack he will get. Now, this patient, he won a lottery prize of 10 crores, 100 million rupees, not dollars. And the relatives came to know about it. This fellow did not know he was in the hospital. So relatives told the doctor. The doctor said, don't give him this news. Because it's a very big thing, winning a lottery 10 crores, anybody could have a heart attack. So the doctor told the relatives, don't worry, I will handle the situation. I will first mentally, psychologically prepare him and then slowly break this news to him. So the doctor comes to the patient and by way of preparing him, just, casually asks the patient, tell me, sir, if you get a lottery prize of a large amount, what will you do? Patient thinks for a moment. And he says, Doctor, you have been very kind to me and have been taking care of me very well. In fact, I am surviving because of you only. Therefore, whatever prize money I will get, I will gift 50% to you. The doctor, when he heard this, he had a massive heart attack and he collapsed. This is a problem of Ajnanis. Good news also hurts them, bad news also hurts them. So you must now recall the story of the rich businessman. I discussed a couple of classes ago. The initial reaction is what? What? Indicate the shock. When he hears that his family is destroyed, everything is gone. Shocked for a moment. He says, what? For a jnani, there is nothing called shock. Even if it comes, it does not take much time for him to change from what to so what. So the entire Gita teaching is to move from reaction to response, to move from what to so what. In fact, why Gita, entire Vedanta teaching is that only. Whatever be the situation, if you can respond to the situation with a so what, it doesn't matter to me. You are a jnani. That's the only difference. So therefore he says, Krishna says, Unmishan nimishan napi indriyani indriyartheshu vartante. Because jnani understand that my body is also made up of matter, the world is also made up of matter, and matter will have to interact. Nobody can escape from the interaction. There are people who think that peace of mind has to be attained by getting away from the world. They try to close their eyes and ears. They practice some mudras and all that, meditation. How long will you keep like this? Some people want to close the mind or transcend the mind in the name of yoga. They want to remove every thought from the mind and sit in nirvikalpa samadhi so that they can avoid all interaction. But Bhagavan says, how long can you escape? Because your prarabdha karma will not allow you to sit in samadhi permanently. Some time or the other, you will have to come out of samadhi and face the world. So all these things temporarily may give you some peace of mind. They are not going to give you lasting peace of mind. Assuming that you are successful in this nirvikalpa samadhi and all that, you are able to keep your mind thoughtless, etc. That's not a permanent solution at all. In fact, there is a statement in Kaivalya Upanishad. Punascha janmantara karma yogatsa eva jivaha swapiti prabuddhaha. So, you cannot avoid interaction with the world. You cannot avoid facing the world. And a jnani knows this very well. Jnani knows two things. I am aham brahmasmi, aham akarta abhokta. My body is not Brahman. My body is pervaded by Brahman, but my body is what? My body is a matter. All indriyanis are there, the organs. Bhautika indriyani, physical matter. And this bhautika indriyani, indriyarteshu, bhautika vishayeshu vartante. That they will interact. You cannot stop that. Indriyani means sense organs. Vishaya means sense objects. And the sense organs and the sense objects will mutually interact. It will produce sensations, stimuli. Vartante, they will. It will be like that only. When the weather is very warm, you will sweat. And weather is pleasant. It is not only pleasant for us, it is pleasant for so many insects, mosquitoes, etc. Now, all these interactions, mosquito will come, it needs blood for its food, it will come and bite you. Just because you can't tell the mosquito, I am a jnani, you cannot bite me. You can't do that. So all these interactions have to go on. This jnani very well knows. Therefore, how can you escape from interaction with the senses? So he says, Vartante iti dharayan. A jnani remembers this in and through all interactions. But in and through all of them, what does he also remember? You must go back to the 8th sloka, first line. Tattvavit yuktaha manyeta. Tattvavit means jnani, yukta means an integrated person who is an alert person. When you lead a mechanical life, I would even say a life which is not driven by any goals or anything. Just like a clock goes and round every day, mechanically you lead a life. At that time, Bhagavad Gita is not available to help you when you face a crisis. For mechanical life, Gita is useless. But when I lead an alert life, every movement, what I am going to do, what my sense organs are doing, what I should prevent them from doing. When I lead a dharmic life, then this knowledge is there all the time to protect. And such a person is called yuktaha. So yuktaha here means a person who is alert, deliberate, conscious. In fact, in Buddhism, that's what they recommend. They have a special sadhana, where you are trained to practice everything deliberately. Not for a moment you do things mechanically. Even drinking tea, it's a very big practice. You have to, from the tea jar or whatever it is, deliberately pour exactly that much tea that you want to drink. Then slowly lift the cup. Bring the cup to the mouth and take a sip. Slowly drink, sip by sip, relishing every sip. Take the tea in your mouth, don't gulp it. Keep the tea for a few seconds in your mouth so that all the taste buds, they are able to get the taste of the tea. It may look very, very silly to us, right? Most of the time, that's what we do. When we are drinking tea or doing anything, seeing the TV, our half the three-fourth attention is there. Eating also, we don't do deliberately eating, isn't it? Mindlessly, somewhere our mind is there, eating goes on mechanically. But a person who is an integrated person, who leads such a deliberate life, who leads a life with total awareness, is called Yukta. And that Yukta always remembers Aham Naiva Kinchit Karomi, Karoti, Karomi, Aham Karomi. He always remembers, I have got a higher self in front of which the lower is insignificant and negligible. That is the entire implication of these two slokas. In fact, these are all useful for us to understand. Forget about becoming jnani and getting self-knowledge and all. Step by step, improve the quality of our life. In fact, they say that if you eat your food with full awareness, as I said, relishing every bite, then the nutrition which is there in the food will go and it will get absorbed in the body. Otherwise, just it will go in and come out in garbage in, garbage out type. Anyhow, so Krishna now continues. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yah lipyate nasa papena patmapatramivambhasa. The Anvaya of the sloka is Adhaya karmani brahmani saha yah karoti tyaktva sangam na lipyate papena iva patma patram ambasa. Or patma patram ambasa iva. You can put iva in the last end also, no problem. Adhaya, dedicating. Karmani, the actions. Brahmani, to the Lord. Sahayah karoti, he who acts. Tyaktva sangam, without attachment. Na lipyate, is not affected. Papena, by papam. Iva padma patram, just as lotus leaf. Ambasa, is not wet by water. So dedicating the actions to the Lord, he who acts without attachment is not affected by papam, just as the lotus leaf is not wet by water. So what happens to a jnani was mentioned in the previous two slokas. He discovers a higher eye in front of which the lower eye and its problems appear very small. Now you will ask whether that is possible. To understand this, Swami Paramatmanandaji gives a very beautiful example. See, all these teachings will make sense if we are able to relate it to incidences, examples in our own life. It's all there, but we fail to see, and that is why we are still ignorant people. When you are talking about a higher eye and a lower eye, we have to look at our history and the freedom struggle. At one point in time, before the freedom, the whole country was seized, people of the country were seized with fervor for freedom and liberation or moksha from British rule because of the continuous suffering they had undergone for more than a century. We are undergoing suffering, samsaric suffering for more than 100 births, maybe. There it was 100 years suffering. Whenever we suffer, we want moksha, isn't it? That's a human goal always. So that's why freedom struggle was there. Thousands of freedom fighters jumped into the fray, forgetting their family life, ignoring their social life, etc. They identified with only one cause, freedom from the British. So if you look at it and understand and analyze, they also had two eyes, a smaller eye comprising of their body, mind, sense complex, and a higher eye, an ideological eye, the intellectual eye, which identified itself with the freedom, the yearning for freedom, yearning for moksha, liberation. And their identification with this ideological eye was so strong that even when the smaller eye, that is their body, mind, sense complex, was subject to brutality, third-degree torture, confinement in cellular jails in Andaman, etc., they put up with all those things. And many of such people were leaders having a respectable position in the society. And they could have chosen to lead a very happy, peaceful life by compromising with the British rule. But they were able to subordinate their physical needs, their physical trouble of the smaller eye to the ideological goal of their higher eye. And because of this, they preferred to give up their life rather than compromise to save their body, mind, sense complex from sufferings. Therefore, in their case, I, the Indian, was predominant as compared to I, the individual. Therefore, when you discover something far superior goal in life, in front of that, small sufferings of the body, mind, sense complex and all, they become insignificant. So it is not that when sickness comes, like Jnani, he will also suffer with fever, body pain, etc. Jnani cannot avoid, just because he is a Jnani, he cannot avoid all these things. Biological pain cannot be avoided. Jnanam does not give you moksha from biological pain. And we do not call biological pain also as samsara. This we must understand very well. What we call samsara is our psychological problem, our emotional pain. A small child, a baby, does not have samsara because it has got only biological pain. Because of that biological pain, the child does not build upon that. It will cry because of the pain and then sleep off. A child will not start thinking, oh my God, if this pain increases, what will happen? What disease it could be? What treatment it will need? How much money it will cost? How will the family get affected? All these things the child will not think at all, even though it is undergoing a biological pain. Even when we undergo a biological pain, we accept it as a part of the prarabdha without looking, oh, what will happen in future, any anxiety about future, about the future of this biological pain, then also it is not samsara. Emotionally, you are stable, even though you are suffering. There is no sleep at night. So much pain is there. When you get up in the morning, so much pain. But you are not emotionally upset about it. When you think about all these things only, they represent the psychological pain of a samsari. Therefore, a jnani also goes through ups and downs. But what happens is, in the discovery of a higher I, like the freedom fighters, who despite suffering the physical pain, they continue to overcome the pain by saying, Vande Mataram. Every time they were thrashed, they did not stop saying Vande Mataram. How could they do that? A jnani, similarly, whenever he undergoes a pain, severe pain, every time, what he says, Aham Brahmasmi. For a jnani, Vande Mataram means Aham Brahmasmi. It is the discovery of a different I. For the freedom fighters, as well as for the jnani. And if this simple elevation from being an individual to being an Indian gave them such a strength, then what to talk of the expansion of the definition of I from I am an Indian to I am an Asian. Then I am a world citizen. Then I am a living being. Then I am a human being. That I am a being like so many other beings. Finally to Aham Brahmasmi. Sat Brahma Aham Asmi. You have to expand your mind like that. Today you are in the first level. I am an individual. Slowly, slowly, slowly raise the bar. Raise the bar so high that with the pole of Jnanam, you will be able to pole vault that highest bar. And realize what your true nature is. So the I expands to such an extent that all previous identifications become insignificant. And that is the Jnani's method of conquering Ahankara. You see, there are so many tips, so many clues. If you are a serious sadhaka, there are 100 things that you can follow on a day-to-day basis. And that is the spiritual path. That is the road to moksha. There is no other road to moksha. The only way. How do you, we keep on talking about diluting ego, diluting the ahankara, and how do we do that? Continuing to identify yourself with the body, mind, sense complex, which is what the ahankara is all about. You can never ever dilute that ahankara. So it requires discovering the higher I, which is extremely subtle and not easily understandable. And suppose there is a person who cannot discover the subtle I, what should he do? You keep teaching him Atma, Satchidananda, Atma, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, etc. But he does not understand that. He even has a basic question. Is there something called Atma, or it is just your imagination? Therefore, Krishna says, until you discover that higher abstract self, start with the first step. May you develop devotion to the Lord in any form that you like. Start with devotion to God, dependence on God. Today, your total dependence is on the world. As a first step, learn to move from world dependence to God dependence. Leave everything to God. I've got all problems, but I am sure God will take care of it. I surrender to God. I am transferring all my problems to God. If He wants to help me, let Him solve it. That is called Karma Yoga. In the next stage, move from God dependence to self dependence, which is called Jnana Yoga. So, world dependence to God dependence to self dependence is the spiritual path. That is the stages you will have to cross. And therefore, in this sloka, Krishna actually takes a reverse. He comes down from Jnana Yoga to Karma Yoga again. Where Krishna is always conscious about one thing. He has to talk about the message of Upanishads, because that is what he has said to do, and that is what he knows will relieve Arjuna from all the problems that he is facing. But at the same time, he also knows that Arjuna is not yet prepared for it. He has not acquired the sadhana chatushtaya qualifications for that. He knows that Arjuna will relate more with something which is tangible, with which he has actually grown up, instead of understanding something like dependence on the higher self, which is abstract. Karma Yoga is very, one can relate to Karma Yoga, one can relate to dependence on God, etc. As you know, as an external principle, because as I said, Advaitam, for you to come, you have to pass through Dvaitam. Dvaitam, then Visishta Advaitam, then finally Advaitam. So start with, Rama, Krishna, Devi, Vishnu, Narayana, any deity, which is very relatively easier, and we have been exposed to that right from our childhood. Dvaita Bhakti is very easy. Advaitam is very difficult. So Krishna says, be a Dvaiti, no problem. There is no hurry. In fact, other religions, they do not believe in rebirth. Therefore, they have got a time pressure. They have to accomplish everything in one life itself. In our religion, there is no time pressure at all. You can take it leisurely and slowly. If not in this Janma, you can carry it forward to the next Janma. And in the next Janma, you need not start all over again. You can carry forward whatever you have done in this Janma and continue from where you left off. All those advantages are there. And therefore, Krishna again says, Karmani Brahmani Adhaya. Until you discover the higher self, may you depend upon Sagunam Brahma. Before you try to understand what is Nirgunam Brahma, continue with your association with Sagunam Brahma. Here Brahmani means Sagunam Brahmani. Saguna Brahma means what? Ishwaraha, Ishta Devata. So develop a devotion towards an Ishta Devata. And that is why, we have got Puranams, Itihasas, Ramayana, etc. When you read Ramayana, Rama becomes so real to you. In fact, you even forget that Rama is avatar of Vishnu. Rama is not abstract principle like Brahman. You read Bhagavatam, Krishna will become very real to you. You can relate to Rama and Krishna much, much more than you can relate to something abstract like Brahman, etc., Atma, etc. So by reading such scriptures, I will discover bhakti in any particular form of the Lord, It's a very nice way to start, very useful way to start. And once I discover that, what do I do? Convert all my actions, all my karmas to karma yoga, surrender to the Lord. Not only surrender, karmani brahmani adhaya. Dedicate all your actions to the Lord. Sarvani karmani brahmani adhaya. Kamya karmas also, not necessarily only nishkama karmas. Kamya karmas also you dedicate to the Lord. Oh Lord, I am going to build a house, which I have been desiring for a long time. Please bless me. I will dedicate this house to you. I am dedicate all this, my kamya karma purti also, I am doing with an attitude of dedicating it to you. So kamya karmas also you can dedicate, nishkamya karma also you can dedicate. The only difference is, if it is nishkama karma, you will not expect any result out of it. Many times, whatever result comes also, you dedicate to the Lord. As we have seen, many times, people are given some awards and all that, along with that, as some purse, award monies are given. And what they do, they donate that money to the institution which gave the award. This is nishkama karma. If it is kamya karma, where I expect the result, I receive the result, but receive it with an attitude of Ishwara Prasada. So whole karma yoga gets covered, whether it is kamya karma or nishkama karma. And this is called Brahmani Sarva Karmani or Brahmani Sarva Karma Adhanam. Therefore, the first condition is that all action should be dedicated to the Lord. Yat yat karomi sakalam Narayana yedi samarpayami. As you say, whatever karma you do, vihita karma, kamya karma, anything you do, samarpayami. Adhanam means samarpanam. Brahmani adhanam means Ishware samarpanam, Ishwararpanam. And this Ishwararpanam attitude itself will bring about a change in the personality. Because dedication is not a physical action, it is a mental resolve. It is a bhava, it's an attitude. It's only mentally telling the Lord, oh Lord, yat yat karma karomi tat tat akhilam sambho tavaradhanam. It's a sankalpa which converts karma into worship. Everything that you do, ordinary karma, gets converted into karma yoga. And what is the advantage? The advantage is that when I am doing any action with an attitude of dedicating that action to the Lord, I will be very careful and I will do it properly, sincerely, and wholeheartedly. And that is why even when we are offering Naivedyam to the Lord in any puja or even on a daily prayer, we don't buy something from the market and dedicate other than, of course, fruits. If we have to offer some sweet or some, sweet meat or some payasam, etc., we prepare it at home. We will take bath, purify our physical body, mind complex. We will chant some slokas and mantras and prepare that food, and then that food or that item is offered to the Lord. This much care we take. I cannot offer an impure thing to the Lord. We have got some stale food in the fridge. I will offer to the Lord. We never say that. We never even think of that. Fruits are okay because they are prepared by nature. Therefore, what I give to the Lord should be the best. So this is the first advantage. Action is done with dedication. And when there is, the second advantage is, when there is remembrance of the Lord, dedication to the Lord, that karma, that action becomes a puja. And what does a puja do? It contributes to chitta shuddhi, purification of the mind. This is the process which works. Whenever we say karma yoga leads to chitta shuddhi, karma yoga leads to chitta shuddhi, what do we mean by that? This is exactly what we mean by that. And therefore, sarvani karmani brahmani adhaya. And while doing all these things, there is another important third aspect. What is that? Sangam tyaktva, without attachment. Attachment towards what? Attachment towards the result, the karma phalam. The attitude will depend upon the type of karma that I am doing. As we have seen, there are two types of karmas. The scriptures prescribe certain karmas exclusively for spiritual growth, like Sandhya Vandanam, etc. It does not promise any material benefit. It is exclusively prescribed only for spiritual progress. Other examples you can take, those who don't, ladies will ask, we don't do Sandhya Vandanam. Going to temple, doing any japa, parayanam, etc. are all prescribed for spiritual growth. We have discussed all this when we discussed the third chapter, Panchamaha Yajna, otherwise called Nitya Naimittika Karmani or Vihita Karmani. So all these actions are exclusively meant for purification of the mind. I can totally dedicate them to the Lord because there is no material benefit involved in it. So what you get? Chitta Shuddhi only. Even the Sankalpam will say, Parameshwara Prityartham or Narayana Prityartham, Idam Karma Karomi. That's all. You don't say, Dhanyam, Dhanam, Pashum, Bahu, Putra, Labham and all. No material, no prayer for any material stuff at all. Only Chitta Shuddhi. And the result also will not disturb me because only when I am praying for or I'm having some expectation of some material benefit and I don't get that benefit, my mind gets disturbed. Here there is no material benefit involved for me to get disturbed. Chitta Shuddhi, let it take place. Slowly take place. There is no hurry. I'm in no great hurry. So this is one type of karmas, Vihita Karmani, right? prescribed actions prescribed by the Shastra for Chitta Shuddhi. Then we have got a second set of actions called Sakama Karmani, where we do expect result in the form of some material benefits. And of course, as all this will come under Kamya Karma. And when we are involved in Kamya Karma, what should be our attitude? Again, we have discussed this elaborately in the third chapter. All the Kamya Karmas also, just as I mentioned, I dedicate to the Lord, and whatever I receive, I accept it as Ishvara Prasada. Thus, in the case of Kamya Karmas, while dedicating the actions, my attitude is Ishvara Arpanam. And when I get the results, I take it at Prasada. So the advantage of having such an attitude, both in the case of Nishkama Karmas and Kamya Karmas, is that the anxiety over karma phalam goes away. I don't get worked up when things don't go in my way. My life goes smoothly without any violent reaction. Because whatever happens is taken as God's will. And my attitude toward God is what? God can never be unjust. God can never do injustice. And if at all I feel that the benefit I get is disproportionate or improper, I only tell myself, you see, I have done what I had to do with the best of my intentions, best of my ability. I put in all efforts. But I do not know what all factors are involved. There may be so many unseen factors involved in this. My own previous punya papa may play a very great role about which I have no information. And most certainly, God knows better. Whatever I had to do, I have done. Now, if I have to get the result that I want, God knows better. He will give it to me. Otherwise, whatever result I get, He will take it that this is what you deserve. I will give you what you deserve, not what you desire. So this is the attitude. Once you develop this attitude that after having doing even Kamya Karmas, I get a result, accept it. This is what I deserve. Some students may, study very hard to come first in the examinations. And they don't know. They would think that I have answered all questions very well and I should get the highest mark, 100 out of 100. But there are so many factors the student may not be aware. He will probably get 95 or 90 or whatever it is. What could have happened? The person who corrected the papers, at that time, he might have had a fight with his wife. So he was negligent in correcting the paper and gave him only 90 marks. So many things can happen, isn't it? Once I know that God cannot be unjust, anything that I get is prasada, and therefore Krishna says, Sangam Tyaktva, give up the anxiety regarding the future. And this is the biggest problem for every grihastha. Always anxious about the future, earn more and more and more and hoard more and more and more. Why? Because the future is uncertain. I may run out of money. So I keep on hoarding for one generation, then not only for me, for my children. This anxiety runs through. Anxiety is not just restricted to me, my spouse, but extend to children, grandchildren, etc. Nothing should happen to them. Anxious. Child has gone out of the house. Normally comes by a certain time. Worried. Child has not yet come. Anxiety. Krishna says, give up such anxiety. Sangam Tyaktva. So the sign of karma yoga is calmness of the mind. The sign of true devotion is calmness of the mind, arising out of the understanding that whatever God does, He will do the best for me. That does not mean that a karma yogi will not plan for the future. He will have plans, but he is not going to be anxious over the future. This is what Krishna calls Sangam Tyagaha. Therefore, Arjuna, dedicate all your actions to the Lord and give up all your concerns over the future. When Arjuna was saying, what will happen? They will die, then this will happen, that will happen, and all that, right? Don't worry about it. And if you do all this, what is the benefit? Saha papena nalipyate. He will not be affected by any papam. Even if there are certain defects in the action, the karma will not produce papam for him. Suppose I am doing the puja or parayanam for chitta shuddhi, and if in that action some defect comes, nothing will happen. Because you are not doing for any desire of material goal. But when the same puja is done for material benefit, then it has to be strictly according to the Shastric injunctions as prescribed by the Shastra. There should not be any defect. Then only the material goal will be achieved. That is what Shastra promises. If you do this karma without any defect, then you will get this benefit. And if there are defects, then desired results may not come, or there may be even no result. Sometimes it could be a negative result also. Remember, I had shared with you one very beautiful example given by Puja Swamiji. I will not repeat it. A person crossing the road. I gave you that example. So for a karma yogi, papa bhayam is not there. Therefore, papena lipyate. He is not affected or tainted by papam. And Krishna cites a very popular example from the scriptures. He says, Padma Patram Ambasa Iva. Padma Patram means the lotus leaf. Ambasa means in water. Iva means like. Now, what is the speciality of a lotus leaf? Even though it is immersed in water, the water does not make the leaf wet. It is like a grihastha jnani who is amidst people, amidst responsibilities, amidst problems. But as a karma yogi, he will not be tainted with papa, with all those problems and all, like a lotus leaf which is in water. But it is not wet by water. Therefore, Padma Patram Ambasa Iva means like the lotus leaf in water, a karma yogi is not affected. And Krishna sums up all these ideas in the following sloka. We will read the sloka and then continue the discussion in the next class. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindriyairapi yogina karma kurvanti sangham tyaktvatma shuddhaye. This Sangam Tyaktva, Krishna emphasizes continuously in Bhagavad Gita. That is the key to a total peace of mind. We will discuss more in the next class. Okay, stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti
Shanti Shanti
Harihi Om.
Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Harihi Om.
Dhanyavada hai. Thank you all very much. I hope you will.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
धन्यवाद
Thank
गुरुजी
you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
నమస్కారం.
Namaskaram.
Need to have a shower as well.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
This Sangam Tektva is abandoning attachment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Attachment we must actually understand as anxiety over future. That is what causes the attachment. So literally you can say Sangam Tyaktva means by giving up attachment. But what do we mean by that? What we have to understand is attachment results, it is because of attachment that we are anxious about the future. I mean, I gave the example of a child, not coming back on time from the school or whatever it is, right? We become anxious. What has happened? It's because of what? Attachment towards the child. If your neighbor's child or somebody not known to you, his child is coming late from school, you will have no anxiety. Isn't it? So this attachment is the biggest problem. Because of which we are caught in this cycle of samsara. And that's why he keeps on saying Sangam Tyaktva, Sangam Tyaktva. Even fourth chapter also he said Sangam Tyaktva. Third chapter also he said Sangam Tyaktva.
It is attachment to result.
Attachment to result. Yeah, I mean, you see, you can't see them all differently. First of all, you can start Sangam Tyaktva, attachment to result. Attachment to result comes because of what? Attachment to the desired objects or desired people. Attachment is there. That's why you have got an attachment to the results now. Right? So, in Karma Yoga, what you are doing, you are getting rid of that attachment. That's what you are doing. Anxiety over the results is gone away.
So it is both abandoning attachment and also anxiety over the result. Both.
Two sides of the same coin.
Okay. Now both two sides of the same coin.
Same point only. Explained in different perspectives. That's all. One leads to another. When your anxiety, when your attachment goes away, attachment to the results go away, then what happens? Anxiety over the future also goes away. Isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
That is what it is. So actually it's both two sides of the same coin only. The same thing. One is the action, another is the result of that. We are anxious because we feel, I have done all these things. Like I gave the example of the student studying, right?
Yeah.
Will I pass? Will I not pass? Anybody who takes any examination has this anxiety over future. Do your duty. Trust in God. Leave it to them. Whatever happens, I will accept it. Then you are no longer anxious about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other question?
Yeah, Namaste, Guruji.
Say,
This Karma Yoga is we do our kartavya and accept whatever we get in back as the Ishvara Prasadam. But if it is injustice or not so good behavior, then how should we handle the situation?
Ishvara Prasada. That's what you deserved.
Karma, return of karma, previous karma.
Yeah. That's what you deserved. You got it. Yeah. Why do you think, oh, I have done a very great job, I should get what I want? You can't think like that. You will do whatever you want to do. You will get what you deserve, not what you desire. Understand this, assimilate this, you will have no problem in life.
Acha, okay. Thank you.
And in fact, I'll tell you a secret. And this is
Huh.
personal experience.
Huh.
And I cannot quote any Shastric proof for that.
Huh.
Whenever you start accepting what you deserve, it will turn out later on that it will become, you are getting what you desire. This I'm telling you from my purely personal experience. It happens. I don't know why it happens. I cannot give you any, I cannot say what applies to me will apply to you also and all. But my personal experience is that there was a stage when I took it like this with a karma yoga attitude. Now, whatever I say, it happens. I just think about it. Something happens. No, I don't know why that is working that way. I honestly know.
Chitta Shuddhi.
And it gives me a lot of relief. Further reinforcing. Maybe at that time when I didn't get what I desired, my karmas were, creating obstacles. Maybe those obstacles have gone now. So now I get what I desire. But whatever it is, this has been my experience.
Acha, okay. Very good, good sharing. Yeah.
I can only say that, without, I can give you any evidence or any shastric or this Acharya said and nothing doing. I don't even give you
Understood. Yeah.
scope and all that, nothing. I don't go into that. But this is practically what I am experiencing. I am sharing it.
Okay, thank you.
That is what it is.
You can have a genuine.
One thing I can tell you, whatever we are studying here, whatever Bhagavad Gita is teaching us, it all works. That much guarantee I can tell you, provided you go the right way, you apply all these things in the right manner. That is, the Shraddha is important. Have total faith in Krishna's teaching. Do whatever he is asking you to do, it will work 100%.
Okay. Thank
That
you.
much I can tell you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Hari Om. Yes. Hariji. Unmute yourself.
He is not unmuted.
Yeah. They is struggling to unmute. You have a question, na, Hariji? Unmute. Let me see. I can't see his name also.
He's there, but not able to. He's talking.
I think now is okay.
Now he is unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, Hari Om. I am now listening to the class through mobile, so probably
Okay.
I'm not that.
Right. Okay.
Guruji, I've been trying to make myself understand the difference between chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5. That is, one is Karma Yoga, the other Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga and Karma Sannyasa Yoga. It is my humble request, if you can take one class, maybe it is a very
No problem. There's no.
elaborate.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Bhagavan Krishna, thinking that Arjuna is a very intelligent person,
Yeah.
gave him teaching in chapter 2, the entire Bhagavad Gita, including Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, everything.
Yeah.
Beginning of chapter 3, Arjuna totally expressed his ignorance. He has not understood anything from chapter 2. So Krishna thought, okay, let me now do one thing. Let me explain to him from Karma Yoga. Focus on Karma Yoga and explain, because Arjuna's present situation was, he is a Grihastha. Grihastha Agyani.
Yeah.
So let me explain
Yeah.
to him Karma Yoga. Right? After that also, in 4th chapter, when he came, so 3rd chapter was Karma Yoga. Then came to the 4th chapter, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. He said, I have told him about Karma Yoga, now I will tell him about Jnana Yoga.
Jnana Karma Sannyasa. The 4th is Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga.
That is basically he taught Jnana Yoga. So 3rd chapter was Karma Yoga, 4th chapter was Jnana Yoga. Focus. Right? Now comes the 5th chapter. Again, Arjuna is asking, tell me one thing. I should take Karma Yoga, or I should take Jnana Yoga, I should become a Grihastha, or I should become a sannyasi. So Krishna in the 5th chapter understands again that this fellow has not understood anything. I have spent 3 chapters trying to put this whole thing into him. So in the 5th chapter, he again talks all those things with maybe different language, different kind of a thing. But he is repeating that the message of Karma Yoga. He will repeat the message of Jnana Yoga. This will go on and on and on. Till the last, Arjuna is not able to understand till he reaches 18th chapter. And in the meantime, Krishna also will deal with lot of subsidiary topics. Okay. So he will try to bring everything so that Arjuna understands it very well. And in fact, Arjuna is only us. Arjuna is not some imaginary. We are also having the same thing. How many times we hear all these things, still we are not able to understand. So we should not see that it is not like our school textbook. One chapter this topic, second chapter this topic and all. Here topics will get repeated again and again and again. Messages will get repeated again and again and again. Because that is how it will go into your mind. Otherwise, it will not go. It will be like reading a novel. So there is no difference. If you are looking for difference, there is no difference. It is the same thread. But Krishna is now what he is getting into, elaborating more and more and more, because he has understood that Arjuna has not understood anything. He is asking the same question again. 3rd chapter also he asked the same question. 5th chapter also is, 3rd chapter he said, don't confuse me. Tell me one thing surely and all that, right? Now here also he is saying, tell me what is best for me. This is best or that is best. I have told you everything. You have to make the choice. A guru is never going to make the choice for the shishya. If guru feels shishya has not understood, what the guru will do, he will again start teaching. Right from A, B, C, D, he will teach. That is what Krishna is doing. In the 5th chapter, that is what he is doing. So that is how you have to understand this.
So these are chapters 3, 4, and 5 are the same subject from different angle. Should I take it in
2,
that way?
3, 4. No. See, it is just like you say. I'll give you an example. You hear this All India Radio news and TV news and all that, right? What do they do?
Rare
First headline they will give.
breaking news.
Not breaking. Breaking is nowadays. Olden days, I'm saying, when All India Radio, 9 o'clock evening news, first headlines will come. Then they will say, now news in detail. So Krishna in the second chapter gave the headlines. Many people will read the headlines, listen to the headlines, and they will say, okay, I've understood what is going on in the world. But then there will be people who will be interested in the detailed news. So one by one, what was there in the headline, they will explain this happened, that happened, so and so came and all that. Krishna is exactly doing that. So second chapter was headlines. Now one by one, he is picking up the aspects which he has already discussed in the second chapter. Third chapter, Karma Yoga aspect he deals with. Fourth chapter, he deals with Sannyasa Yoga. Here again, he will talk both about, then question is, here question was whether I should take sannyasa or I should take grihastha. Which means what? Arjuna's question is whether I should follow Karma Yoga or I should follow Jnana Yoga. Krishna says you have no choice in that. You have a choice whether you want to become a grihastha or you want to become a sannyasi. That choice is there. But between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, there is no choice. You have to do both. Arjuna is thinking, like most of us think even today, there are 4 different paths to moksha. There is a Karma Yoga, there is a Jnana Yoga, there is a Bhakti Yoga, there is a Ashtanga Yoga or Raja Yoga. This is what most people think. There are 4 paths to liberation. Krishna emphasizing again and again and again what is there in Upanishad. There is only one path to moksha, which is Jnanam, Jnana Yoga. All other paths, all will come under Karma Yoga. That is what Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna. Don't be under the illusion that there are 4 paths. If I don't do Karma Yoga, I will just straight away go to Jnana Yoga and get moksha. No. Without Karma Yoga, you can't even go to Jnana Yoga. You are not eligible to go to Jnana Yoga without practicing Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is the first one which is giving you Chitta Shuddhi. For going to Jnana Yoga, that is the most important requirement. Purity of heart, purity of mind. You can't get into Jnana Yoga with all sorts of baggages. So Krishna is one by one picking up, and whenever Arjuna has got a question, he is addressing that question in that particular chapter. So in this chapter, he is addressing the question which Arjuna asked in the beginning. That's how you have to understand. It's just like the news exam. Headlines and then news in detail like that.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Any other question? Asti va? Looks like no other questions are there. So we'll close the session. Continue next week. Okay.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
To all.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you.